already know what it is, man. We out here in Japan. So this week's update video is really kind of crazy. I went to Okinawa and I basically narrowly escaped the typhoon. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but I just want to continue where I left off last week, which was saying goodbye to my friend Josh, who went back to England. So as a kind of last hurrah to say goodbye to him, we went to this place called Taisho Tugboat, which is this really nice little area in Taisho that has a bunch of little food stalls, and it's like on the water, so you can get drinks and food and bring it to these picnic tables and eat together. There's all kinds of food. I think we got like Korean mostly, and then we had these sours that were like elderberry flavored, and there's like a lemon one, and there were just a lot of good drinks and food there. I will definitely be going back. It's also really close to this bar called TNT, which I mentioned in the last video, that they play rock covers and they have rock bands come and play live music. So that was really fun. And for our final meal together, Josh and I and another friend went to this okonomiyaki place, and okonomiyaki is a famous Osaka dish. It literally means fry anything, but usually it has cabbage as well as this like potato starch, and you can pretty much put anything in it, so meat and seafood and noodles, and it was so good. And the drinks, you can get mega portion, so it's like 1 liter, I'm pretty sure, and it's just in this big glass, so when you drink it's like literally heavy to drink. It's a really good deal. So I said bye to Josh, and then the next day I actually went to Okinawa for the next 5 nights. So I got really lucky because it's technically typhoon season right now, and flying into Okinawa I had beautiful weather, like complete sunshine. So the very first night that I came into Osaka, the hostel I was staying at, I met this American Marine who lives in Okinawa. So the first night I was in Okinawa, we met up in American Village. American Village is this cute little area that's like literally supposed to be like nostalgic, kind of just like recreate America. So they have American shops and American food places like tacos and all these other like American like things, and it's really cute. And if you walk a little, there's like this romantic little area on the water that has like beautiful lights, and it seems like a really nice place to watch the sunset. I arrived after it got dark because I took the bus, and I guess Okinawa is a place that usually you want to have a car because things are a lot more accessible that way. You can definitely get around by bus, but the timetable is all kind of messed up. The bus that I was waiting for arrived probably at least 10 minutes after I thought it was going to arrive, and it took probably over an hour to get there from where I was staying. I was stationed at Naha port. Just something to keep in mind if you do go to Okinawa. I will give more information about what I did not having a car, and there's definitely a lot of things that you can do, especially if you're staying near the port. However, if you want to like sightsee around Okinawa main island, probably definitely want a car because it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was. So we went to this Okinawan sort of like izakaya. It was just like a local Okinawa food place, and I got to try out some, I guess, like local dishes. Champuru is one, which is stir fry, and they have a bitter melon, like Okinawan bitter melon. Vietnamese people have something similar, so I had tried something like that before, so we didn't order that. That night we got tofu champuru, which was really good, and we also had, I forget what they're called, but they're like sea grapes. It's like umi something, but those were really good. That was the first time I've ever had that. And they also have an Okinawan lime kind of thing, and it's called shikwasa, and I got a sour that was made with that, which was really good as well. So yeah, the food was really good, and yeah, we ordered everything in Japanese, so I don't really know what the restaurant was called or what the food I got was called other than champuru, but yeah, it was really good. So I was staying right next to Tomari port at a hostel called My Place, and they're owned by a dive shop, so most of what I did in Okinawa was diving related. But the first full day I had, I went to Zamami Island, which you can take the boat from Tomari port, also called Tomarin. If you take the high-speed ferry, it's called the Queen Zamami. I took one that left at 9 o'clock, and then coming back it left at 5:20. So you want to check the timetables because I think during like peak season right now they have more ferries running, but normally they don't have as many, so you always want to like make a reservation online because I think oftentimes they do sell out. So Zamami Island was really beautiful. I went to go snorkeling at this one beach. So the beach that I went to is called Furuzamami beach, and it's actually a 2 Michelin star beach, whatever that means, but it has like snorkeling right when you arrive, basically. When you come off the Queen Zamami, you arrive at Zamami Port, and there's a bus that goes to like the main kind of areas, sightseeing areas on the island. So one bus goes to Furuzamami Beach. So I took that bus. It probably was like 5 to 10 minutes, and I think it cost 300 yen each way. Yeah, you arrive at Furuzamami Beach, and there's kind of like a hut that has food and drinks, and they also rent snorkeling gear. I think they also have perhaps some other sports activities. I saw people doing jet skiing, but I think that might have been from a different beach and then they came over. But yeah, they do have like different sports and stuff you can do, but the snorkeling is really nice. You can also rent like an umbrella and a chair. I didn't rent any of that stuff because there's kind of like a rocky area and you can set your stuff up in the shade over there. I lucked out a lot because the weather was beautiful and the snorkeling was so nice. And if you keep walking like down the right side, it's like a bay, and then you can kind of like walk to this area where two sides of the ocean are like coming together and you see the waves coming together. It's really, really beautiful. The day I went was a Wednesday, I believe, so it was not crowded really, and yeah, this beach was really, really gorgeous and the snorkeling was so nice. I've done a lot of snorkeling and diving around the world, and this is definitely one of the best. However, because I don't speak like really good Japanese, I don't actually know if there were like warning signs for this or not, but one of the first things that I saw when I went underwater there was sea snakes, and it was like a black and yellow striped one, which, thinking back on it, when they have those weird patterns and stuff, I should know that means they're gonna be dangerous. But I was like, oh cool, a sea snake. And I told my friend about it and he googled it and he was like, yeah, I don't think that that's poisonous. I probably should have googled it myself. Yeah, I realized later that they are super poisonous and super fatal if they bite you. They don't tend to bite people unless you like disturb them. But yeah, I was trying to get videos of it with my GoPro. I saw 2 of them actually. So yeah, good thing I didn't get bit by that. But there were a lot of clownfish and other really pretty fish down there. So yeah, pretty amazing snorkeling, just a nice overall beach in general, white sand, yeah, gorgeous weather. No complaints about that day, super nice. So there's another famous beach called Ama Beach, and there's a bunch of kind of sightseeing places along the west coast. You can also camp at that other beach, and there's like a famous dog statue called Marilyn or Maririn in Japanese, and there's like 2 observatory decks on that side, observation decks. I decided to go to the observation deck that's past Furuzamami Beach, so I basically went up the east side. You can also go up the west side. You probably could do it all in one day, but I just wanted to kind of like not do too much in one day, if that makes sense. So the observation deck that I went to was Chishi observation, which is past this town called Asa, which you can take the bus to Asa and then you can walk up to the Chishi observation deck from there. There's a bunch of maps that show you the walking places you can go to on Zamami Island. However, I feel like those times are not accurate and they don't reflect a bunch of uphill hills that you may have to do if you're walking. So I definitely would take the bus to Asa all the way because there's a really, really, really steep hill from even to Furuzamami Beach. I wouldn't walk there, it's super steep, but you can walk to Ama Beach and the west side easier. But yeah, the east side I would definitely take a car or a bus or a motorbike or even a bicycle, but I think the bicycle would be miserable as well. So I walked from the bus stop at Asa all the way up to Chishi observation deck. I think that was probably 15 minutes. Yeah, it was very beautiful. You could see kind of like the rugged landscape. It was a super nice observation deck. I think the ones on the west coast is more kind of like romantic, sunsetty, but the one on the east coast I felt like was like more jagged, rough landscape. So after that day I came back around 6 or 7 p.m. and I had dinner in Naha at an all-you-can-eat yakiniku place. So you pay for 80 minutes and you get all you can eat of like a set menu. Ours was probably about 2,000 to 3,000 yen per person, but it had dessert as well as like a lot of different kinds of beef and pork and all different kinds of meat, rice dishes, and yeah, definitely really worth the money, especially if you're really hungry, because all I had eaten that day was like konbini food. I didn't actually get any real food when I was on Zamami. And then the next 2 days I did full day diving trips with SEASIR, which is the company that also owns the hostel I was staying at, my place. So for hostel guests, they have a discount and they pick you up in the morning around 7:55 and then they take you out on the boat. I did 3 dives each day, so 2 dives in the morning at different sites with the correct surface interval and everything, and they give you lunch as well if you want for an extra 500 yen, and then you can choose to do a 3rd dive or you can be done after that. So I'll make a separate video maybe about dives just for people who don't know too much about diving / don't care. The big overall picture was that it was a great company, however there were no English speaking dive masters, so it was definitely a very interesting experience to do diving and not really know what the dive master was saying. Obviously underwater you use like hand signals and stuff, but about certain wildlife and things that they might have debriefed me about, I didn't know what they were saying, so that was interesting. The other big thing I will say, there were a lot of really nice wildlife, turtles and a shark and an octopus and a bunch of nudibranches, which are these really tiny sea slugs that I love. However, there were also triggerfish, which I've never seen before diving, and these are these fish that attack you, like literally it bit my fin and was like ramming its body into me. So they're like probably about this big, but they're very aggressive. So that was another thing that perhaps if I spoke Japanese that would have been good to know. Yeah, so if you ever come here and dive, watch out for those. So I did 6 dives in those 2 days. The first day I made a friend on the boat. It was a Japanese person, but the only other person really that spoke English other than one of the snorkeling guides. So we went out to dinner that night at an Okinawan restaurant, Kokusai Street, which is like the main kind of shopping district nightlife area, but because of COVID it's still a little bit quiet. This place had traditional music and like a show going on, so it was really nice. And then that night I did try the bitter melon champuru, which was really good, and I tried a hibiscus sour that night, also really good, and there was some other seaweed that I forget what it's called as well, but yeah, this restaurant was really nice on Kokusai Street. So the day of my second dive, the typhoon was technically starting to come in a little bit, so that was probably the last day that I was able to dive, and that the dive shop probably would have taken people out because the storm started pulling in around this time. So I was really lucky that I got to do those 2 days of diving. The typhoon pretty much came in, and it was really weird because if you check the weather app, you really can't trust what the app is saying because you can literally see like the rain clouds and walk out of them almost. So one day I was going to see this cliff top shrine over this man-made beach. It's the only beach in Naha. It's called Naminoue, I believe. I was walking from my hostel. I could literally see the clouds and where it was raining, and then if I didn't want to walk in that area, I could avoid and go to like little sunny spots. But the wind was also really strong, so I did experience a little bit of the typhoon that day. So the shrine had this cool little bamboo circle thing, which I've now seen at some other shrines, so I don't necessarily know the significance, but they did have a sign that told you how to go in and out of it. So you're supposed to bow and then do like 1 circle and then bow again and do like a figure 8 and then bow again and then like close it up, so it's like that 3 times. So really interesting. And then the last day was the typhoon was really coming in. So there were a lot of warnings about this. So my last full day, I went down to the Peace Memorial Park, which is down on the south end. You pretty much need a car to get there, I believe. I don't think there's public transport that goes down there, but it's like this really, really big, beautiful park. But yeah, you could see the storm like coming in from the sea that day, which was super weird. And then I got an ice cream, but it started raining, so my ice cream was like melting. But yeah, that was my last full day, and then the typhoon pretty much took over. So I was planning to like go out because it was 4th of July weekend, and I was like, Okinawa probably has a lot of people going out because there's a lot of Americans. But yeah, I decided to just stay in, and the last night I stayed closer to the hotel because I stayed in a hotel that was closer to the airport because I originally wanted to walk to the airport because my flight was at 6:55 and the buses don't start until 6. So I thought I might walk to the airport, but because it was so rainy, I took a Didi, which is like a cab, and the place I stayed was really interesting. It was like between a capsule hotel and a regular hotel, but the door is like this sliding, almost like garage door, so you can hear everything outside. So because of the typhoon, this last day I was doing these indoor activities. So I went to this little German cafe. Well, actually it was a German bakery, which was really good. And then I went to Round One for the first time, which is this chain place in Japan. There's one in Osaka, at least one. There's a couple in Osaka, I think, but it has multiple floors of all these different arcade and sports games. So that was really fun. So I flew Peach Airlines, and they sent me all my emails in Japanese. So the emails that I had got originally were kind of just like, just confirming you have a flight tomorrow, like don't forget about your flight, you know? The day before my flight, I got an email all in Japanese, and I didn't bother to translate it because like for my original other flight, I got an email that basically just said, I'm confirming your flight tomorrow. Assumed everything was okay, and then because the flight was at 6:55 in the morning, that night when I was staying at this little like private capsule place, I decided like, oh yeah, I'll just Google Translate it. And then I realized that my flight had been canceled because of the typhoon. So that last night I was there, the typhoon was like raging. Yeah, so my flight was canceled, but I did get on the next one, which was at 9 a.m. So I think overnight, like the winds and the advisory, I don't know if it passed over us or if it just, yeah, I don't know what happened, but there was some typhoon going on, and then I missed my flight, but I got on the next one and it was fine. Still ended up getting to the airport early just in case. One thing that I've noticed about the domestic flights within Japan is that they do everything really last minute. I don't know if it's just Peach and Jetstar, which are like the budget airlines, but it'll be like if the flight is at 9, like normally in my head boarding should be at least half an hour before, but they board at like 8:55 or 9, and then they take off like a couple of minutes after the takeoff time was supposed to be. So I still got there early, and there was a bunch of gachapon and stuff like that. And then there was also like, I guess Pikachu and Pokemon is partnering with airlines right now, so there was a bunch of little Pikachu Pokemon things all around the airport. So I was looking at all that and enjoying all that, and then yeah, I was pretty much good to go, safe on my flight. However, yeah, that flight had a lot of turbulence because of the typhoon also. So yeah, I basically flew into a typhoon and survived, so that's great. And then as little souvenir or omiyage for my friends back in Osaka, I bought little shikwasa chiffon cakes from the airport as my souvenirs for them, because that is in Japanese culture, you give omiyage when you go someplace. So I got that for them, and yeah, it was actually really good, and I safely got back to Osaka. So that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching my little update. Please look forward to more vlog style / update style videos coming up. Subscribe and give a thumbs up if you liked this video, and leave a comment. I love responding to them, and I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, nighttime, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!